Morning, everybody. How we doing? Good. Good.
Go ahead, everybody.
It's good. He's good. Yeah, had a good time. Little trip to the Jays yesterday. Saw an exciting win. It was good. Good game. Good team. Had a good team.
Having had a couple days to reflect, what is your first impression of what you just gone through?
Well, I think that I thought we played 3 really good games in the playoffs, right? Probably needed to play more than that, in a 6-game series. Played 3 good ones and 3 not so good. I mean, we needed it to be a little smoother on our end, and I don't think games 1 and 2 we were just out there trying to survive. I think we were so discombobulated with guys, being sick and getting hurt and being out and all that stuff, and we never really could get our feet underneath us until game 3. That we played great, 3, 4, and 5, and half a 6, and just didn't probably execute the way we needed to in a game of that magnitude in game 6. But season overall, I mean, listen, I think there was some concern early on, but that didn't last all that long. I thought I said this a lot, I thought from early December, we started playing pretty good basketball. We had a nice run there of some games, and we had the little COVID run, and we recovered from that. And then I think from there on out, we, for the most part, played, pretty competitive and hard, and guys were getting better and all that kind of stuff. And it was a fun team to coach and a fun team to watch play. I thought they competed. And for me, like I always say, man, we go out there and compete like we can win, then we're going to be happy. And I think we did that most of the year.
A couple of times you used the word funky to describe the style of play and the
Yeah.
style of the roster.
Yeah.
Is that sustainable year to year? I think this year you might have caught some people by surprise playing the way that few teams have. But is that sustainable season to season?
Well, I mean, listen, we each year, Doug, are going to have to coach to what the roster kind of shapes into being. And sometimes, you're not quite sure when there's a lot of new faces and all that kind of stuff, what it's going to, shape into. We kind of, maybe not as funky as it turned out, but we knew we were kind of going with this length and deflections and offensive rebounding and switching defense and multiple defense. We kind of saw that as the vision for the season. Like I said, it got a little funkier, only maybe because they were able to do more interesting, different, unique things, right, as they went. And again, that's a credit to them. Like I said, it was early on, I wasn't sure what they were going to be able to comprehend, and all of a sudden things started sinking in really good, and we were able to execute a lot of stuff. So, I don't know. That's who we were this year. We'll see what we look like next year and how that kind of transforms as the year goes on.
Is it fun as a coach? Is it fun as a coach to do that? To get a challenge of something brand new, relatively new to you guys, and then basically brand new to the Raptors?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I think you gotta again see what it looks like, and you kind of gotta, dream it out one way, and with a couple of plans B's and C's and D's maybe. But I mean, I think we did a good job of maximizing, kind of what we had, and did it in a unique way, which I thought was kind of fun to watch.
On Doug's second question, when Fred was talking to us the other day, you said, what you guys did this year was really successful, but what you guys do best is when you have a lot of different things in the toolbox. And so you could play, like, ideally, you would play this long, athletic, be everywhere at once style sometimes, but then you could go big or small. Would you like to see the roster have a bit more, not versatility, a bit more just different type pieces rather than,
Different sizes instead of everybody the same. Is that what you mean? Different size guys,
you
and
can ask the question.
little fast guys. Not really. I mean, what I would say is I really like the I really like the length and all that stuff, and what I would say is we need to get those guys more versatile, right? We need bigger guys that can guard smaller guys, and bigger guys or schemes that can guard bigger guys when there's an extreme at either end, right? That's what I would say.
Nick, when we were talking to Fred the other day, he was saying that he's got to spend the offseason looking at different ways of managing his body to sort of pace himself a little bit better over the course of a long season, long grueling season. Do you guys think you need to do anything differently to manage his minutes and workload to accomplish the same thing? I know at this stage of Kyle's career,
Yeah.
looking at different things that you guys can do.
Yeah, he probably got there a little sooner than Kyle to get into the stage of career. I don't know if he's quite at that point yet, but yeah. But he's listen. He's a competitive guy. He likes to play. We played him a lot of minutes this year for sure. I think we're probably on the upper end of that. Trimming that a little bit here and there would probably be advisable, for sure, as we did with Kyle. It's always easier said than done, right? But just, usually it was always easier to manage it in the first half so that the first halves don't end up at 21, 22, because when you get to there, it gets hard to keep those things down around 35, 36, which is probably where we want to be rather than the upper 30s, the way it ends up.
And in terms of workload, the trajectory of Pascal and Scottie in
Yes.
terms of taking pressure off of him as the primary ball handler, do you see that sort of helping?
Certainly. I think we kind of got forced into that, right? And now we know it, probably as a certainty that we can do that. So we certainly will be more comfortable doing that, I think, from the get-go next year.
Nick, what do you guys need? Like, do you need more of a rim threat at either end? Do you need more shooting? Certainly,
Yeah.
statistically, would seem to say that you need more shooting. And from your point of view, what's the most realistic way of adding those things that you think you need?
Well, for me, you guys have heard me say this before, but the more quality players you have, the better chances you're going to have to win. And I think it becomes, I said this early in the year, that you can't go into a season with 8/9 guys anymore. You can't. There's COVID that knocks a bunch of guys out, and ever prevalent injuries seem to be way more frequent than I can remember, even when I first got here. Just not us, just around the league. Everywhere you turn, every time you turn around, there's like every game all year long, there was 2 starters missing from every team. And they just don't remember that being the case like 5 years ago. So whatever the reason that is, that means your 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 guys better be able to go out there and play, not just look like it once in a while, right? I mean, they gotta be players. So that would be my first thing, is we gotta get some depth just to keep up with the sign of the times, right? And we could probably use a little catch and shoot. Again, I'm still after some more wing players, right? Some more athletic wing players, so we can continue to come at you in the style of play we want to come at you with.
And do you have a lob threat on the roster that, I know.
Not really. No, not really. That would help. That would help too. I think that probably leaves a little bit of pressure for guys like Fred and Gary, I guess, another OG. Those guys that could get probably more open corner looks because of the pressure being put on the rim on the weak side.
We talked about needing a bit more depth. Masai's been pretty open. I can remember his first press conference here when he took over. It's like, I want to have those end spots for young developing guys. So is there a balance between getting more experienced guys and you guys just ramping up the development so those young developing guys develop quicker and can contribute quicker?
Well, I think you're always going to be in a development stage, with your first and second round picks, and then you you're in year 2 with those guys, are still developing, maybe even year 3 with some of those guys, that are still developing. I mean, we're always going to, put our 12-month hardest effort into developing players. Even our guys that aren't development players, we're still spending a lot of time developing their games to expand them and keep getting better. So I don't know if they're 20 years old or if they're 27. We're gonna probably still develop them.
This organization obviously prioritizes development and historically hasn't been a huge player in free agency. But when you look at a season like the one you guys just had, do you think that appeals to potential free agents going forward, not just this summer, but, to play with this type of group?
Well, geez, I think we got a lot to offer here, right? We got a winning team and a first-class organization, amazing fans, unbelievable city. I mean, I'd want to play here if I was a free agent.
Nick, you've got a template back from that bench mob in terms of the offseason, how you guys went at it, where it was just, you kept four or five guys together all summer long. Is that still doable in this day and age? Like, can you still get guys to make that commitment? And is that something that you'd be looking at for this summer with some of your younger guys?
Yeah, I'm just trying to think back to that bench mob.
Freddie, Pascal.
Yeah, I mean, listen, that's Freddie, Pascal, DeLon, and Yak. That's 3 first-round picks. First of all, that's a good start to a bench mob.
Yeah.
And then we threw in one veteran and C.J. Miles, and then Freddie ends up being an all-star out of that group. So, pretty good group, right, of players. They were just young at the time, right? But no, I get your point. I mean, listen, you guys know a couple things. One is that we got a 12-month-a-year program, right? And we like to do a lot of group work so that they can have a feel for what we're doing and have some chemistry and cohesion at both sides of the floor. So yeah, I could. It is a great template. I think it'd be great to have a group like that goes out there 5 and kind of has their own identity and rises up and plays that good, and then becomes all that they become. There's a couple all-stars out of that bench mob. Pretty cool. Bench mob to all-star. So who's writing that story?
To that point, Fred and Norm sort of led that.
Yeah, Norm wasn't even really a part of that bench mob.
No,
He
no,
was
but-
like the 11th
I
guy.
would say like the next generation of, yeah, I mean, you have some talent.
It's good.
They were sort of leaders in terms of getting people together and getting those younger players together. Do you see those, has it happened yet where like the next stage after Pascal and Fred, like there's somebody taking the lead in terms of creating that
Well,
sense of culture?
yeah, well, I think one of the unique things, or maybe even the unique challenge, first of all, the unique thing about it was 4, let's throw Norm in there too, 5 of those guys kind of came in right together, right? So it was kind of like, oh, this is what we do, this is, and to kind of mix and match and pull, CJ kind of nestled into that group as a veteran, right? So that was a unique and I think helpful thing that they were kind of all, like freshmen together or whatever, whatever you want to call it, first-year guys or second-year guys coming in together. So, but we've got some, we've got some guys here that need to grab onto that right now. There's some guys there that I like, that probably didn't get on the court as much, but they're going to have big summers and improve. And the good way to do it would be to do it together, because if they can come at us as an improved group like that, then I think that enhances their chances of getting on the floor.
I mean, obviously, internal growth is important every year. Can you remember a time that you've been here where it's been more important than this year, just given all the young talent that you have on this roster?
Yeah, I don't know. I'd probably go with your first part of that. It's always important. It is. I mean, I think that, listen, there's a couple guys there that like, let's say Precious, for example, that you see some real explosions of talent there, right? He's got the athleticism, he's got the size, he's got versatility, plays both ends, can do a lot, right? He can do a lot on the basketball floor. And, for him to take a step up next year makes him a pretty good player, because he's not bad now, and he's really good on some nights, right? Really good on some nights. And I'm always after, that he's got to take it from, I don't know, I haven't analyzed this yet, but from 2 out of 4 to 3 out of 5, then 4 out of 5, right? Don't expect him to play great every night. It just doesn't happen even with the best players in the league. But inching that up to where your consistency, that's what I'm talking about, is consistency levels, is we know what we're kind of going to get from you night and night. I thought he started doing that for the most part. But again, like I always say, is we can't have those just blank sheet games. Right, when you've got size and athletic ability, go out there and play hard, and you rebound and defend, you impact the game. Even if the ball's not finding you, or if the ball's not going in, you impact the game with your spirit, your competitiveness, and your energy, and that gets you into a category where you're playing consistently as a real pro.
Nick, what do you remember most about Scottie in the pre-draft process, and how did that compare to your impression of him once you joined the last team?
Listen, Scottie was kind of. He was checking all the boxes probably from the moment he I first met him, even probably before that, I talked to his college coach, and he couldn't have said more great things about the guy, about how much he loved to play, and how his personality, and how great a teammate he is, and all the things he can do, and how he thought he was maybe the best secret in the draft, and all these kind of things. And when Scottie hit when we met him, he's the same, and he stayed that way almost all year long. I thought, again, he had very few 20-year-old moments. He had a couple. He had a couple here and there, and usually he'd have those and he'd fix them before the game was done, right? He'd be wandering around the first half, wondering, where am I and what game is this, and then before you know it, he'd pour it on in the fourth quarter and finish off with a good game, right? So he was great, man. He was great. I think the future's bright. He's a wonderful person, great teammate, fun to coach, very talented. Loves being a Toronto Raptor, loves being in Toronto. So there's a lot to love about Scottie, that's for sure.
As you said a few times, he's a guy who has like all these B+ skills, like there's nothing he can't do. If you had your choice, are there a few specific ones you'd like to see the A- skills when you see him in September?
Well, I mean, again, I think that playing all facets of the game really is a super quality, first of all, right? That he can have all those areas of impact that he has. I mean, I think that, for me, I'm always going to say, can he really become a more consistent, somewhat dominant type defender, where he's, we know we had stretches this year when he says, hey, I want to guard Bradley Beal, or I want to go do this, or I want to go do that. More of those nights where he's a problem out there. Guys know he's going to be a problem defensively. And then we're going to watch all of us here are going to watch his scoring skills and shooting skills just increase year by year as we go here. And we'll just keep an eye on that, and we'll enjoy that.
Nick, with Scottie at the beginning of the season, one of the goals was to just get him to be more aggressive with everything. And we saw over the second half of the season that really came on. Do you think that's become like a natural part of who he is now, or do you think there's still more growth?
No, there's still more growth there. I would say that just like anything, it comes and goes a little bit. It's streaky or goes in spurts sometimes. The last game the other night, he came out and he saw he hadn't beat at him, and he took it straight at him 3 times in a row and scored, and then we didn't see that much again, right? And it's kind of like one of those things where if you got a matchup and you can score and you got it going, then you got to go get the ball and you got to keep going and going and going until they have to use 2. Right, until they use 2, and then you start passing. So there's tons of growth there yet. There's tons of growth in all of it. But like you said, like I said to start the year, the judging factor on him was going to be minutes, and we got him a share. Right, we got him a good share of minutes and attempts, and get him aggressive and watch the scoring come along. I think that was everybody's concern. Would he score enough at this level to be, impactful enough, and I thought he certainly did in the makeup of our team this year, and I think that'll continue to grow.
Is it valuable to have a guy like Chris on the bench who has been through his ups and downs, but has bought into, or at least it seems, bought into
Yeah.
that role? And other guys who, everyone wants to be a starter, but they can look to him and see he's a guy who figured it out.
For sure. I think for sure. And like you said, there's been some ups and downs there. And this year started off pretty rocky for him. Really rocky, right? Like I would probably say you can throw that into him kind of getting going with himself and with the team. Probably was about early December when I said we started playing some good. I mean, he started impacting games, and I think it's for me, like, it's great as a coach when you're sitting over there and the game's the ball's gone up, and it's kind of like you're looking at the game and you're like, man, I can't wait to get, Chris and Precious in. Like, that's like, as a coach, when you're saying that means those guys are really impacting, right? And they're really getting us into the flow, and it helped getting some of those guys out to watch part of the game, and then back in, they'd come in and be better when they'd get back in. So, yeah, is great. I mean, he really just whatever it was or whatever he got going, I'd call his name and he'd sprint from that end of the bench up to the scorer's table and tear off his warm up, and you could feel, here I come, man. And then he hit the court and they could feel it. And I think it was a tremendous boost to us most of the last half of the season for sure.
We were sitting here next year at the end of May.
Yeah.
And what would you think might be the swing piece in that happening? You guys taking another step? Would it be, Scottie? Would it be Precious
Yep.
taking a jump? Would it be OG playing
Yep.
75 games?
Yep.
What would you
I mean, I think if you look at some of the things, you would say, okay, what are some of the things that maybe we could have asked for a little bit more, or would have went a little smoother this year? I'd certainly say a couple things. One, OG piece, right? Getting him on the floor a little more. I think he was going like this, and then he was, there was a long periods of time, and then he kind of leveled out. He had some, some good moments. Obviously, we were better with him for sure, right? Again, another quality, experienced player out there. But he was certainly going like this until, the hip injury, I think, was the first one. And if we could have seen that slow progression all year, I think that would have benefited us. Freddie went like this and then kind of hung on. Maybe if we can level that one out a little bit more and continue that. And then the other two guys, I think Scottie and Precious continue to grow and are able to take it kind of from start to finish. And boy, that's four pretty critical things with four really good players that I think has a big impact. And there's probably more in there too, but that's a pretty good start.
The half-court offense, the numbers don't look great.
Let's hear them, Eric. I don't even know what they are, so let's hear them.
I think in the regular season, Synergy had you at 25th in half-court offense.
Okay.
PPP.
Okay.
How did you think it looked from a both aesthetic and effect point of view, and what would you like to change, and
Yep.
how much do you think it will improve? These guys are going to get better, so it will be better.
Yeah. So listen, I think we go into the year again pretty unsure, and I think you guys would agree with me. Where's the offense going to come from? Where's the shooting going to come from? How are we going to generate some kind of flow and chemistry and just enough power, to score enough to win enough, right? So we probably thought that generating and making a ton of threes would be a challenge. We probably thought there was going to be a few offensive rebounds to get, so we better try to figure out a plan to get some of them. And kind of working through that. I would say this, Eric, I would say that, and you probably know this or would agree with this or have thought about this, one of the three, that the shot spectrum has veered off a little bit from what we normally talk about. And to be honest with you, it's a little further away than what I would maybe textbook or philosophically want. But I also know we were kind of in a transition period of how are we going to generate shots, period, right? So I think I would say that We gave Fred a little more license to shoot, out of the shot spectrum. Gary we moved him maybe from we moved him a little bit closer to ours, but still needs some more movement, but did a great job of to me, like he wasn't a catch and shoot player in Tampa last year, like at all. Like he almost always caught it and waited and put the ball down and went places with it. So one of the things we asked him was, with this team, I mean, Fred and Pascal and OG are going to be drawing. I mean, you are going to get kickouts. You got to be a threat, a spacing threat on the catch. And he did really good at that. But there's still more room for him to improve there. And then the rest of his game is he's going to look you in the eye and ISO you to death, and he's going to shoot some non-paint too. So again, that number creeps up a little bit. Pascal as well, pretty much free license to go do what you need to do to get us a bucket or create us some offense. So I would say, we probably look towards managing that now that we know what we have, managing that a little back closer to philosophically what we believe. And that's probably my first and early thought on that before diving into it a little harder this summer.
Nick, obviously from a basketball standpoint, Pascal took a big leap this year. How much different was he to coach this year?
Not all that much different. Right, I think that he and I would sit down a little more regularly and early on in the season, and the messages were pretty similar. They were get out and run, get out and push it, get out and get to the rim, get on the offensive glass. When you draw two, get off it, shoot more threes, and then play defense like you're capable, rebound like you're capable. And become play complete like you can, and I think those got delivered and heard and done, and very much credit to him to hanging in there, because it was again a little rocky at the start. He was playing okay offensively and scoring a bit, but seemed to be still finding his way with the rest of the chemistry connection and philosophy and all that kind of stuff, but then started doing it all, and he had. I know you guys saw it, but some of those games in the playoffs, he was incredible at the defensive end. I mean, incredible with some of the stuff he was doing.
Nick, along similar lines, when the players were in here the other day, they all spoke really highly of Pascal's day-to-day approach and the work ethic
Yep.
and what they kind of took from it. How much was that something you were looking for this season, and how much did you feel?
Well, I think that he's learned some things. I can't think back of a part to say he's got an issue with work ethic. I can't think of going through those moments. But what I can say is he surprised me a lot this year. Of some of the nights he'd have a 43-minute night, 30 points, 10 rebounds, and I'd roll in here at 8:15 and he'd be out here at 8 o'clock in the morning, and it'd make me tired seeing him seeing him out there. But it shows, I think, that he understands, like you guys know I used to say this about Kawhi, like he understands like what a day looks like to be a great player. And there's just nothing that kind of veers him off that. Not even a heavy played, hard played game. He comes in and he's right back to work, and he's in the weight room and he's getting his treatment, and he's in the hot tub and he's in the cold tub and he's eating and he's shooting again, and he's, and then they go home later on in the day. And it's super impressive. And to me, I always thought that it never phased Kawhi at all, right? And with Pascal, it's almost enjoyment, right? You see him come in and he's out there with a smile on his face, going to work, putting in a day's work. It's and some people are like, oh geez, I don't know if I can do this again today, but not Pascal. He was out there doing it with an enjoyment and love of the game, and understanding, what it takes to reach a level of great play that he was able to reach.
Pascal spoke about how Earl really kind of impacted his game this week. I want to talk about your coaching staff.
Yep.
Specifically, Earl, how do you feel like he kind of helped improve your roster?
Well, Earl's obviously got a lot of experience in a lot of things, right? He's kind of got it all. He's got a tremendous playing career with some unbelievably good coaches. It's great to go back and talk to him about some of the things that his coaches would say and do, and that's one thing. He's coached and been a head coach, so he knows what that feels like. And that's unique, right? It's totally a different thing, and then not that many. You're not that blessed to have assistants that know what that feels like a lot of times. And then he was, he kind of, before we hired him, he was, doing some summer workout stuff in locations where Pascal was. So he was able to develop a relationship with him there. So a lot of pluses, for us and for Pascal in that sense. And he's, Earl's a great dude and a great coach with tons of experience. We're lucky to have him.
You guys, if you wanted to, you guys could run out a lineup that's all wing. Sort of did it once Fred went out in that series. What allows Fred to hang with those guys and, still be in a lineup and switch and do all the things you want to do without being 6'9" or whatever?
Yeah, well, he certainly plays a lot bigger than he is, right, because of his strength, right? He's able to fight not everybody, but just about everybody in the league if they take him inside, or he's smart enough to make a quick switch, with pull somebody else in there and get back out on the perimeter. That takes some IQ and some timing and things like that. But just, he's so competitive and he's such a winner and all that kind of stuff. He can survive in any game.
What do you think about Malachi's future with this roster?
Yep.
Sort of, what do you see his role here moving forward, and what do you expect of him?
Well, I just met with him the other day, and he's confident that he can help our team and help our team win. And I say, a lot of the same stuff I've said to you guys before. He's improved in his ability to command and run the team. Like he's a pretty good floor general out there, right? And that's not that easy sometimes, especially in the hodgepodge of guys that end up out there when you're coming off the bench. You never know, you got different guys sprinkled in and guys playing different positions even on a game night that they haven't played in practice and all those kind of things. So it's not that easy, and he commands that pretty well. Defensively, I think he's got a knack for seeking out the ball a little bit the way Fred does as a secondary defender. He's a guy that can come in with some great timing. He's got great hands. He can swipe it away from guys coming from the backside or blind side or whatever you want to call it a lot. He's got good timing and hands there. I think he needs to be a little bit more of a pressure defender up the floor, just as a nuisance and as a change for us, right? Like Fred's not really a guy. I mean, Fred can do it, but he's not a guy you're going to spend all that energy up the floor doing it. But it's good to have a guy come off the bench and go up there and just turn a guy in the backcourt a little bit and eat into them. I keep saying this. He's got to get a little dirtier, right? He needs to take more charges, come up with more loose balls, dive on the floor more, even sometimes if it's just for inspiration. He doesn't even have a great shot to get the ball, but he's throwing his body around to provide a spark with that kind of stuff. And then lastly, he's gonna have to make shots, right? He's gonna have to be a shot maker. Like he comes off in a certain coverage and he's open, he's gonna have to be able to knock him down. Or if it goes to other guys and he's a spacer on the three, he's got to be a great catch and shoot player. He's got to do that for us because that would be a role we could use. And he's got to be able to do that. And I think that's one area he's going to have to get better at.
When you look at Precious, he was in here the other day, and it's like, man, finding him beat every day is tough. Does he need to, if he's going to take on a bigger role next season and doing some of those things, does he need to get bigger to do those things? And if he does it lose his guard defending potential?
No, he doesn't. He just needs to. I think, for him, he's got a great body, great athleticism. He's strong. I mean, to me, he gets stronger. Doesn't need to add weight or any of that kind of stuff. Just get stronger and improve his skill set. Precious's probably biggest resource right now is minutes, right? He needs to get minutes and get out there, and that was a tremendous experience for him to have to battle, Embiid in the playoffs. That comes down a little bit more, on us. We gotta figure out schemes to beat those guys. It's kind of a one-off, right? Embiid's kind of that one guy. I'm trying to think, and maybe Jokic, but it's not. Yeah, Jokic as well. I don't want to. Embiid seems so much bigger. I guess he's not that much bigger, but he seems to be a little bit more of a problem size-wise than Jokic. But one or two guys that you have to figure that out. So I think we got to just get better at that.
Do you feel comfortable with him on those, him and you have a few other guys, but against those big guys, he could be that guy to take on those challenges when they come up?
Yeah, but I wouldn't say again. I never would say it's on one guy to do it. I think it really comes down more to a group of guys and the group of schemes.
Nick, normally when you remove a piece like Kyle from a team
Yep.
that's so central to an organization's DNA on and off the court, there's going to be an adjustment period. But at least from the outside looking in, it seems like the transition this year has been pretty seamless. Did it feel that way in terms of the day-to-day? Did you notice his absence?
Well, I think that first of all, I think you're right. I think I give our leaders of our team some credit. Give our coaching staff some credit again. I think, it certainly wasn't easy. I mean, like you guys know that we practiced a lot. We double practiced a lot. We shot around. We filmed a lot. I mean, we did a lot to stay on these guys, to get them to play to the intensity and level of compete that we knew, that we want to play with and that we knew we've had. And Kyle was a big part of that. It was a big concern because, I would say to you that Kyle led that a lot, that competitive drive just to go out there and fight like heck to win. And a lot of times that would rub off, right, and be contagious to the other guys. And like I said before about Malik, I mean, Kyle would fly into the third row chasing a ball. One time he had no chance to get, but everybody would say, geez, man, I better start playing a little harder, right? And so that took a little adjustment, I think, to answer your question, because I wasn't sure we were competing like we needed to compete early on in the year, but I think we got there.
While you were preparing for a playoff series, there was a report out there that another team might be inquiring about your services.
Uh-huh.
Could we expect to see you on media day here?
Next year?
Yeah.
Well, first of all, I mean, I don't know where that stuff comes from, right? And I'm focused on coaching this team.
Nick,
How about that?
on that theme, you've kind of been through, like as an assistant, you were through like the competitive cycle, kind of building up, and then you won it in 2019. So, you feel confident based on your experiences here and your skills here that you can kind of go through that same process here? And what about, you look at what Spoelstra's been through with Miami. It's been up and down, but generally they find a way. And some of these other longer-term coaches, there's not a lot of them, but when there are around, they kind of, there's something about the organization and the coach that fits. And do you kind of sense that here in terms of
100%, yeah, 100%. I mean, listen, I'm not, I don't, I'm not that great at planning in the future, right? Like if you're trying to time it out of when you think we have another shot to win one, well, I'm ready. I'm ready to get back in the hunt today. So just be clear on that. I coach to win him, and that's it.
I guess what I'm asking not very well is, do you feel a lot of synergy between your style, what you want from the organization, and from the organization in terms of that passion you have?
Well, 100%. Listen, I think that I've always said this. I mean, listen, Masai and I have a great relationship. I think mostly because we want to win championship. I mean, it's about trying to figure out how to win it all, right? That's what I sense he's trying to do every day, and that's what I'm trying to do every day, and that's really important. I think that goes a long way in synergy, right, for me. And listen, I mean, he has conversations with me about my coaching, and I have conversations with him about the roster, right? And we're getting ready to have one here in about about 1 o'clock, right? And we're gonna make some moves to go forward, right? Like how can we coach better? How can we player develop better? How can we get the roster better? How can we get better and get to where we want to go? This is, it was a great season, but first round exit is not my not what we want to do.
Guys, I'm just gonna give you a time check. We've been going for over 40 minutes now, so we'll
Couple more, huh? Couple more?
head towards the final turn.
Okay, cool. Down the stretch we come. Derby this weekend, Doug.
So, Nick, on that note about coaching better, you said development here is a 12-month-a-year program.
Yep.
So what does development look like for a coach in the offseason?
Well, it's the same. I mean, listen, first of all, we will let this sink in and digest here a little bit, right? And then we'll dig back into it. And for me, some of the things Eric's talking about, we start looking at some of the metrics and understand why we finished where we did and what's the plan to improve some of those, right? And there's some give and take on some of that stuff. You got to be understand what you exactly want, right? We want to finish number one in every statistical category. That's what we want to do. But you got to kind of look at where you're at and where you're going. It's a process sometimes. It's the first thing. Dig back into it, and then. For me, I've got some little specific projects, and they're both team related and individual related, right? That I think that one that I can work on and get better on, and then two that they're directly related to certain players, how we can use certain players better, and I'm going to be pulling film and clips and organizing some flights out to go see these guys and sit down with them and go through some things that I think they can see and we can really help them get better and where we see them trending as a Raptor player for next season.
Nick, can I ask you about the defense? Like, at the beginning of the season, we saw the NBA make a real concerted effort to allow. I know, I hate to do this. But now in the playoffs right now, we're seeing a lot of pretty loose whistles compared to what we've seen in past playoffs, I think. So I'm wondering, like, where do you think the league is at right now in terms of what they're allowing physically? And do you have to adjust your defense if it continues to get called this way?
First of all, what do you mean by loose whistles, first of all?
Like, they said that they were going to take a lot of these non-basketball calls away and not call them.
Yes.
And it seems like those plays are being called
Right.
fouls right now. And just in general, soft
Okay.
touch fouls.
Yeah. First of all, yes, we have to adjust. We had to adjust a couple times this year, right? I mean, I think you guys know that at the start of the year, I mean, they went way one way, and I think we all were in agreement like that. And it was interesting because it seemed like we enjoyed it. Early on, it was as physical as heck. We were taking it to the basket, and I was like, they're not calling anything, but make sure you, at least, when they take it to the basket, make sure you, lay some wood on some people down there, right? I mean, it's like, let's not get left out on this. And I thought we were doing a good job on that. Okay. Then that went for about a month, and then it went back a little bit. And I think it slowly gravitated back probably to where we remember it being a year ago. Yes, is the answer. You got to adjust constantly. You got to adjust within games. I thought we had to adjust severely as a team. That's different sections of the season this year, and then we'll see what they come up with this year. I mean, from my standpoint, like, I really hope they get away from these offensive plays that have nothing to do with taking a shot, right? The swinging or your arms around and just trying to find a body somewhere. And I don't understand that's anybody wants to watch that. I just don't. So I think if nobody wants to watch it, then maybe we won't have to watch it.
We've had a championship season, a COVID
Yep.
season, a bubble season.
One of everything.
Exactly.
Yep,
So
one of everything.
How would you define this season? What really stands out to you about this year?
Well, I would say this, well, it was tough year, right? It was tough. It was hard to kind of keep going through the ins and outs of the injuries and the COVID and rule changes and whatever it was. It seemed like a grind, and we had to work extremely hard each and every night to prepare a game plan and to get our guys to execute it to be good enough to win. Right? It was a tough one, but I guess at the end of a season you should feel like you're about spent, right? That you put everything into it that you could. I mean, that leave it all out there, and probably a couple more days I'll be recharged and ready to go again.
Hey, Nick, what are you gonna do with Canada? You gonna do that July window, or do you know what your
Yeah.
plans like in Canada?
Yeah, so we got a late June, early July window. Yeah, I got a call with them today to get more updates about where we're playing and all that kind of stuff. But I'm hoping it's going to be around here somewhere. Yeah, I'm hoping it's going to be around here somewhere. But I'll probably have some more details on that this afternoon.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, everybody. Good to see you. Yep. Have a good one. Yep.